Tech Topical, Tech's best talk show. Tech Topical, tell me what's the topic, yo. Tech Topical, talk Tech Topic show. Topical.
All right.
All
right, we rocking and rolling?
Tech Topical.
All right, let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tech Topical, Tech's best talking show. I am your host, Brian Ross. And of course, as always, we have three big stories for you here today. Let's go ahead and take a look. Our first three stories. Where are we going to be? Today's topic, green promoting green. Elon Musk has pledged a bunch of money for whoever creates a good carbon capture technology. Aliens, they might be real. Harvard cosmologist Avi Loeb discovered a strange object in space named Oumuamua. We have our expert panel to react. And also TikTok, the future of social media. Our expert panel will discuss. But first, let's go ahead and meet our expert panel. You know the old time saying, if it's Shri, it's for me. Hello and welcome to back-end web concentration student at Make School. It's Shri Shikati. It's going to be downstairs, the dinner. Our next guest, she's a walking, living, breathing reference doc. It's Leah Tilahoon. Welcome to the show, Leah. And I'm unconfirmed, but I think he knows how to ride a skateboard, so that makes him pretty cool. Welcome to the show, back-end web concentration student at Make School. It's Chris Mullins. Welcome to our panel. Our first story for today. Oh, did I mention we are also live on Twitch? So if you're live on Twitch, go ahead and make sure that you chat. We love hearing your thoughts. In fact, I think I learned a lot from the Twitch chat. The Twitch chat really knows everything. They have Google, and I'm just a host. I don't actually know. So fact check me in the Twitch chat. I would love to hear that. Our first story, $100 million for carbon capture technology. Elon Musk has recently tweeted, we talk a lot about Elon Musk on this show, as I think is appropriate considering this is about the latest and breakest and cutting edge technology. Elon Musk says he is donating $100 million towards a prize for the best carbon capture technology. And I know what you all may be thinking, what are the details? Well, the details come next week. So unfortunately, we don't have too many details. However, this is a pretty big deal. Shri, I want to ask you, $100 million towards a prize for best carbon capture technology. What do you think of that idea? Is that going to get us over the line here?
I think that's a good idea personally, because not only is it building like competitiveness towards something good and that can help global warming, but it's also like urging people to commit to a cause and help our future, basically. So I think it's a very good idea.
I love this idea of green solving the green crisis. Green being money, of course. What else could it be? Leah, I want to ask you, you know, when I'm at home, I leave all my lights on. I leave the air conditioner running at full blast. And I've always just been assuming that someone else is going to take care of this global warming. And it looks like that's going to happen. What do you think, Leah? Is this problem solved?
First of all, I don't think you should really do that. We should all try to conserve energy, but we'll come back to that. But I think this is like one step ahead towards like helping the environment and the future. And as we all know, like there's different opinions about just like the earth, keeping the earth cleaner and making the environment more clean. But I think Elon Musk is like doing a really great job at like trying to address trying to address especially like carbon dioxide. A lot of factories use carbon dioxide as like one of the waste materials. So trying to help the environment and donating money for a good cause. I think he's going on the right direction, I would say. And like, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea. It's interesting that we're talking about carbon. You know, it'd be great, Chris, if we could take all of our coal power plants and then just put them on Mars, because they could actually use some more carbon. I wonder what the end game here is with all of that. What do you think about this carbon capture technology? Do you think you could capture that carbon and then maybe use that too?
Yeah, so, well, I know Elon Musk's goal is to get us all to Mars and interplanetary colonization, which is understandable and admirable. And I definitely like this incentive, like how he's incentivizing us to actually create ideas to sort of solve this problem, and it can definitely be beneficial for problems here on Earth. As far as carbon capture on Mars or coal refineries on Mars, um, my initial reaction to that is like, do we really want to just enter into that new colony and start to wreak havoc there? My imagination has always been like, if we're gonna go to Mars and if we're gonna start a new stage in human evolution there, shouldn't it be a little bit more green? So that hopefully we can achieve the carbon capture before we end up actually sending ourselves to Mars. I think that one of the biggest things about this whole initiative that Elon Musk is having is not that we're discarding Earth, it's that we are sort of adding another planet to our don't want to say inventory, but our
collection,
our repertoire of planets. And I think that that's really cool. But so we have to be mindful of like ways that we're promoting a sort of green green like environment, eco-friendly things for both Earth and Mars. So I think this initiative is actually going to be, at the end of the day, like very beneficial, provided we get it all done. I saw someone in the Twitter comments being like, "Trees? Don't trees do that?" I'm no expert in ecology, so I don't really know how someone would do that. But I think that if we can use this money to sort of make more people get invested in it, we can see some really interesting stuff that could be beneficial. And last thing is, I think that some people have many opinions about Elon Musk, but the fact that he's like using his money to incentivize people to sort of get into like focusing on the ecosystem is something that I find very admirable. I think that one of the issues is that people sort of see these tech giants and see these rich people as the people who are in some ways stunting growth, stunting positive change, whereas in this situation, you can see Elon Musk sort of promoting a healthier environment for people by giving people a reason to sort of invest in these types of technologies.
Chris, I think you bring up a good point, and Leah, I want to ask you about this because you kind of touched on it a little bit. But once you start taking carbon out of the atmosphere, do you think there's a risk that we might take out too much, and then now we're doing global cooling? Do you think we should be messing with the atmosphere like this, or should we be maybe taking a more holistic approach?
Oh, so like if we take out too much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, like you're saying that it's gonna get messed up the Earth.
Someone might see this $100 million and then they might do like too good of a job. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's like 7 billion of us here on Earth that like take on oxygen and produce carbon dioxide as the waste, like as a waste. So I don't think we're gonna run out of like carbon dioxide, whatever, like as it is right now. So I don't think that's really gonna happen. And I mean, as Chris also said, there's trees, right? They take on the carbon dioxide and they try to produce oxygen. And like currently the carbon dioxide emission is really high. Last time I checked, it's just really high with like all the factories and like everything that's like going on with the emission in the ozone layer. So I would say we are not really at risk. And this is like trying to, like the 100 million is like maybe trying to capture attention of maybe scientists or researchers and to like show them, this is, you could like, it's just like showing them you would get something. It's like reinforcement learning when you like see a prize and then you were trying to keep that prize. So people would work more, like would put on more efforts. Researchers probably will put on more efforts now, seeing that there's like a prize ahead. Like there is all like obviously the prize that is like you're trying to save the world, but also getting money is also like one of the prize. Let's be honest, like everyone, not everyone, but like people would love to have like a good life. So
I know I would.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I would say whoever comes up with like a solution for this is gonna, it's gonna be good for them. And also for the environment and like the whole world. So yeah.
That's right, Shri. It's going to be good for everyone. And Chris brought up a good point. And I'm no ecologist myself, but I've watched a YouTube video. And apparently trees don't do that much when it comes to global warming, because when the trees take in the carbon, Shri, when the trees take in that carbon, they keep it, but then eventually in a few hundred years, the tree dies and then it decomposes and all that carbon gets released back into the atmosphere. What you're really looking for is a marsh or a bog or something known as a peatland, which is like, like a swamp. So when the tree falls over, it falls into the water. It doesn't decompose because it's in water. And then it gets compressed and then it turns into coal, which becomes a fossil fuel, which means we can burn that later and then just release the carbon back if we want to. Like to keep the options on the table. And Sri, I wanted to ask you, there was a voice in my head, sorry. Shri, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about these engineering solutions? Is this an engineering problem with an engineering solution, or are we too late for all this? Should we just, I don't know,
I
just
don't
take it
think
coming?
I don't think it's never like too late to, kind of help the earth that we have. We only have one earth. So it's never too late to like protect it and help it. And I think it wouldn't have been an engineering solution if it hadn't gotten this far. Like this incentive of like $100 million to create this carbon capture like technology wouldn't even exist if we had started earlier. But now that we are here where carbon emissions is too high to really like go back and fix something, it is now an engineering problem, which requires an engineering solution, such as this incentive of like creating a carbon capture technology to not really stop, but limit the carbon emission that is being produced at a high rate right now.
That's a good point. Chris, I wanted to ask you, carbon capture technology, this is pretty exciting stuff, but do you know of any other good green technologies? I mean, this seems pretty promising, but people talk about nuclear, they talk about maybe solar, they talk about a bunch of different ways that we can try and get to the same goal. Do you know of anything else that might have a pretty big impact?
Yeah, see, so as you said, I'm no ecologist myself. However, I do think that there are certain ways that we can turn the current situation of global warming into something that can, in some ways, produce energy for us in a eco-friendly way. Kind of backpedaling to what we were saying earlier about not wanting to go into a global cooling, I think the point of all ecology should be to maintain a sense of equilibrium that is in uh, ideally, for humanity, for people to survive the best as they can. However, even expanding past that to other life forms on Earth, like in order to sort of create like a very hospitable Earth that sort of maintains that balance between too hot and too cold, and these so just like black and white image of like contrasting intensities. Like I think that the point of all of that green technology and environmentalism is to maintain a hospitable environment. So I think that like in terms of technologies that we could implement, I did like what you were saying about the idea of a bog, because something about the
Yeah.
notion that it's we're capturing the carbon means that there's must be some way for us to like condense the carbon into something else and use that as a resource or a fuel for something else. But even before that, like I would assume that like some way to deal with the carbon capture, because the trees seem to be, as you said, like a sort of middle or intermediate force that's holding the carbon but not doing anything with it. So if we can find a way to sort of like hold the carbon and maybe condensate it into something else and remove it from the cycle of it being in the environment, absorbed into the trees, reabsorbed into the environment, then maybe we can find a way to sort of deal with that. But as far as other technologies, I would say that like I'm a big fan of solar panels. I think that that's just an amazing thing, especially being in California. You see that like we just get so much sunlight. It's literally January right now, and we're just like the sun is just out. And I think that that's one of the main things that are really sort of changing things right now. I'm not necessarily sure about how much sunlight is like being absorbed and what the conversion rate is in terms of electricity and power. But I definitely see that in our environment, we can use it. Wind generators are very useful as well. People are complaining about birds, birds dying, and I'm like, that's very important too. But these different ways seem to be beneficial. There's actually a Kyrgyzstan, I hope I pronounced that right. I probably butchered it. A video. It's just this.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah,
Kurtzagat.
Kyrgyzstan, yeah. But they're
Kurtzagat.
talking about how nuclear energy is actually one of the most effective ways, and I think that honestly, like, one way for us to sort of mitigate the, for lack of a better word, negative effects of the atomic bomb is to find other ways to work with nuclear energy in a way to actually better the environment as opposed to nuking us all to oblivion. That's it.
Hey, maybe sometimes those are one and the same. I know Elon Musk wants to nuke Mars. All ideas are good ideas in a brainstorming session. Moving on to our next topic. Aliens, they might actually be real. And by the way, we are live on the Twitch chat. Go ahead and let us know if you, I'm curious what Twitch chat thinks about this carbon capture technology as well. Are you excited for it? Should I be excited for this? I'm pretty excited, but I get excited about everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the aliens talk. Let me get into that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the aliens too. All right, let's get to the aliens. Have aliens found us? A Harvard astronomer thinks that he may have found a mysterious interstellar object named Oumuamua. Say that 10 times fast and you will have a good time saying it because it's a fun thing to say. Right. This is what Oumuamua may or may not look like. It's all very exciting. So the story here is that Harvard cosmologist Avi Loeb was looking into space as cosmologists do, and he found this object that is, this is an artist concept. This isn't the actual object, though that'd be lit if it was the actual object. But he found this object in space. Apparently it was very flat, very thin, sort of like a pancake, and it had an extra push. You know what I'm talking about, Leah? An extra push through space. In other words, it had some sort of propulsion method. And there's really two objects, or I guess there's three objects in space. Asteroids, then there's comets, and then there's everything else. That's everything in space. Asteroids, comets, and everything else. And comets and asteroids are very similar. The only difference being that a comet is wrapped up in ice. And then when it flies through space, that ice evaporates, giving it a little extra push through space. The problem is when a comet does that, it leaves a big trail behind it, so it's easy to see. This object had the push, but it didn't have any trail. And we can see the luminosity of it. It's reflecting and it's changing its luminosity, meaning like how bright it is in the sky it changes by a factor of like 100 times, 10 times, something crazy that just never happens in nature. And what this means is that this object is sort of tumbling once every 8 hours, and every 8 hours you can see the full range of luminosity. This means that this has led him to a conclusion that we may not be alone in this universe, because an object such as this has all the markings of an artificially created object. Shri, I want to ask you, are you buying this?
I mean, to some extent I am. I'm a firm believer that, you know, other than us in this whole vast Milky Way, there has to exist another planet or two or three with life form and inhabitants on it. So I think this isn't far from reality per se, that aliens may exist and they might be, you know, not certainly communicating, but just as we are looking for them, they might be looking for us.
Very, very interesting point there. Let's go to the Twitch chat. Jock E. Biden reacted with a bunch of emojis. Just want to let you know about that. Thoughts underground. I'm excited about it, talking about the carbon capture. These incentives tend to provide opportunities for people to innovate. And I'm interested to see what the contestants come up with. I too am interested to see what they come up with. Who knows, it might be a particularly intrepid MIG school student that works on this. You never know. Maki Junior Man said, how about 8 times? I guess talking about saying it 8 times fast, 10 times fast, 20 times fast. It's a fun thing to say. Chris, I want to ask you, do you believe in aliens?
All right. Do I actively believe in aliens?
Do you actively believe in
aliens? Time thinking about aliens? No. There's some people who do that, and they're pretty interesting.
I do that.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting people. Like sometimes on TikTok, I'll see these people, and they'll be playing that interesting soundtrack sound, and they'll be like, the world and the universe is expanding, and the government is not telling us everything. But about that, as I first let me answer your question before I tangent off. I don't not believe in aliens. I'm not putting any of my conscious energy into the thought of aliens. But I do think that if aliens were to be real, then that would challenge a lot of people's beliefs. That would cause a lot of problems philosophically and spiritually for certain groups of people. I think that we're kind of under the impression that we're, as humans, some type of better or more advanced civilization than anything else, really. But what's funny about it is that if there's aliens that are just as or more intelligent than us, how do we cope with that knowledge? Like, what are we going to do with that? Like, are we going to internalize it? Are we going to project it onto them? Are these aliens and now angels? Is this God talking to us? Like, how are we as a society with all our complex spiritual beliefs going to deal with the concept that there are beings that are not on this earth? But I don't find it difficult to believe that there are aliens. I mean, like, just the way that there's a cow, like, that's not a human. It's not just us, you know. Just, and I think it's interesting because, like, one of the profound things about life is how rare and random it was that we're even alive. Like, it's so specific. The specific placement of the earth relative to the sun is what gave us just enough warmth for life to start, for all the compounds to merge together and osmosis and all that other stuff to occur to just become what it is these days. So I think it's very interesting that we have what we have now, but we definitely shouldn't just think, oh, you know, we're the only ones. We can just, we're the only ones who are lucky enough in the entire, like, seemingly infinite universe. But I did see something that this is what made me like so excited about this topic, is that I saw something that it was like the COVID stimulus package. If you read that, there's something that says it was a request from like Senate or Congress or something that says we want the government, we're going to give the government like, or we're requesting the FBI to release 100 like release information about UFOs, or they don't use that language, but unidentified flying, you know, but
Aerial phenomenon.
aerial phenomenon within 180 days of that bill passing. That's interesting. That means that they already know. I'm not going to go on the rabbit hole. There's a bunch of rabbit holes, people saying that the aliens have been here and they're living with us and all this stuff. But I mean, if the FBI knows some stuff, like, that's cool. I mean, the FBI knows some stuff, so we should also know it as well. But I'm mostly concerned in just the way that that's going to just transform belief in the world and our cosmology globally, you know, not just
Smartly said, Chris. Bananas 1026 said, I thought Brian was an alien. Mock Junior Man said, he looks like one. They wish.
Wow.
Thoughts underground, you can't make me leave Earth. Long live the third planet. I'm right there with you. Although I would like to visit if it's possible. You know, I like Earth, but I'd visit. Jackie Cheese gives a, what's that emoji reaction? I love the emoji reaction. That's probably Jackie. Leah, I want to ask you. Leah, it seems like these days there's not so much of a stigma anymore. You know, a few years ago, you said you believed in aliens. People would wonder where your tinfoil hat is. Do you think this idea of aliens is becoming a little bit more mainstream?
First of all, I gotta say this artist did a really great job on this like whole picture. It's really
I know.
nice. The
Because it
whole
looks like it could be a spaceship, but like also not really. You don't know.
yeah. But like real talk about aliens, it also depends like on where you're from, right? Maybe like people like in the US, a lot of people might believe in aliens, but like in other countries, they might just look at you weirdly, like, aliens, what? You know?
Good point.
Personally, I am not really opposed to the idea of aliens existing, but um like if like let's say this researcher was right, so like aliens existed and they're trying to send us like a message, like the article that I read was saying like they're trying to send us a message saying like they exist or like they want to communicate, and I'm just curious that why haven't they visited, or I don't know, like there's just these thoughts, right? Like what so like we haven't seen them until now, or even if like people that say that they're already here. So what do they look like? Are they just hiding? Like they
Yeah, no, I just to like add to that, like, how this is such a nuanced thing. Like, it's just like an entirely different form of life that we haven't conceptualized yet. Like there's
Yeah,
so many possibilities. It's not even
there's
like we have
so
this
much
idea of what it looks like, but we don't know.
Like, do they look like humans, or it's just like, do they look like other animals? Like, are all like, what if all aliens like dogs and like they could talk? It's just like, if you really just try to open up your imagination, they could look like literally anything. But
They
um,
could look like the host of a talk show.
and
Yeah,
like,
what kind of power do we have?
I would say, if if they exist and if they are like smarter than humans here, I would really like to them to help us out with like certain things, like the carbon the carbon thing. They could help us out with that. Like if they're like really peaceful, I don't think they're bad. If they exist, I mean, they would have destroyed us by now, I would say. So I don't think they mean harm if they exist, but I don't really think they do. It's just like, I am open to the imagination, but I'm not gonna like mark my stand, oh, here they exist, because like I've never seen one. But it's just a thought, like, if they exist and like if they're smarter, I would want them to help, and yeah, just help us out, because our earth is just going.
Moki Jr. Man says, if I meet an alien, I'll buy them some McDonald's. That'd be very nice. I'm sure they'd enjoy that.
Literally stopped us from interplanetary war just there.
By McDonald's.
Moki
Yeah.
Jr. Man also says that he's talked to everyone in Lithuania and they think aliens exist. So maybe the whole global consciousness is coming to something interesting. Shri, I want to ask you, this object is supposed to be really thin and flat. It's going through space. What do you think that could be? Do you think it's a spaceship? Because Avi Loeb had a few different ideas. He thought it might be a solar sail. A solar sail is this really thin piece of, I don't know, material. I'm just a host. I don't know. It's a really thin piece of material that's propelled by the radiation of the sun. And it just kind of floats through space. And maybe it could be something like that. Maybe it could be something to like relay messages, or maybe it's like a guidepost or something like that. What do you think, Shrey? What do you think this could be?
I don't think this would
Or
have
is it
been a
an alien at
spaceship.
all?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it could be a spaceship, because if it were a spaceship, then why didn't it land, Or why did it try to communicate further than just like passing by Earth and checking? But like the thing that you brought up that Avi said was like, it could be something that is just passing by to let us know that, you know, other life forms exist, or it's just completely theorized. It's not certain yet because only Avi and a few other scientists saw it, from what I know. And this is just an artist's concept. But it would be interesting if it were like, a spaceship, or if it were a medium of communication that we're not aware of yet. That would be very interesting to see.
That would be very interesting. And Chris, there's this theory that maybe the reason that we don't know about aliens is because we're kind of like ants. And someone mentioned this idea earlier, in this Copernican principle, that is, we're not that special. We might think we're special, but there might be a whole bunch of other life forms out there way more advanced, maybe entire civilizations that have come and gone already. It's not really entirely clear, but maybe the reason why they don't really have any interest in coming to hang out and say what's up is maybe they're just way smarter than us, and maybe they think that, if they're here, then they'll throw us off. So I want to ask you, yeah, downstairs. So I want to ask you, Chris, do you buy into that? Do you think they're too cool for us?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that before you started to talk about that. I'm definitely about that Copernican idea. In fact, the Copernican revolution wasn't even that long ago in terms of human history. Like, we are coming from this perspective that were this geocentric perspective that we previously had, where everything literally physically revolves around us, and we're slowly moving into this understanding that it's heliocentric and things revolve around the sun. But as humans, we're still very egocentric, and we're still obsessed with this idea that it has to do with us. Like, we could probably be like the least effective, least efficient beings in the universe. And I don't know, I'm a bit of a nihilist about the capacities of humanity. Like I feel like we're just so stupid. Like there's a TikTok that said it was like aliens interviewing humanity for the Galactic Federation or whatever, and they said, and it was this guy who was like, oh, so you don't have healthcare for everyone? Oh, people are still starving. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, there's a global pandemic. Oh, give me a towel. Like they're just, it's just like this sort of humor that we're still so far behind. I mean, like if they have spaceships and they're literally able to go through the cosmos or whatever, they could. There's a few things about that. They could, one, do it in a way that's so discreet that our small milk toast understanding of the world is like completely like overshadowed by how important they actually are relative to us. Or two, they actually are doing it to like reach out to us, but again, it's just a test and we're not ready. um how do we become ready? I truly think humbling ourselves, because there's only a few situations that we can imagine where like a selfish alien race is able to rule the world. And I think that it would, there's this game, I'm not gonna, well, there's this game, and it's just like the premise of this of one of the races in the game is that it's just this like egocentric man who clones himself a billion times, and he's able to rule the galaxy because he's just himself. But that's like one scenario where selfishness can involve and can turn you into an intergalactic spacefaring civilization. So ultimately I think that we're going to have to develop some sense of community in order to really uh, powerfully impact the cosmos. Not just my 2 cents about that. So yeah, we are kind of ants to them in my mind. I mean, we can't even float. We can't even fly. What if these people can send fireballs out of their hands? What are we gonna do? What are we really gonna do? Like, we can't do anything about that. So I don't know. Like, what, they can levitate. We don't. What are we gonna do? We're gonna
What are we
shoot
gonna
them? What
do?
if they stopped us the bullets with their mind?
Oh God, what are we gonna do? I'm getting.
What are we gonna? No, literally, what are we gonna do?
But
So
like if it's can, they probably would have done that. Don't you think?
that's
Like,
the thing. But if we're such like not a threat, like they wouldn't even care. Like,
but like
what
at
are we
the
gonna
same
do?
time, I would say, if they had like all the powers as you said, and if they are seeing us like just like I thought, like if they see us and like we're all like when we were in like a lot of trouble with like the pandemic and like everything else going on around the world and they're not doing anything about it, I think that's like pretty selfish or like they're
Yeah,
not
they could help out.
it. So like I would say if there's some like if like some alien existed out there and not doing anything about this, I don't know.
That's a good point, Leah. If aliens do exist, I'm mad at them already for not coming to help out.
Right? Thank you.
The least
Yeah.
they could do. Leah, I want to ask you something I've always thought about with this topic is that they say that, the word on the street and in the underground, no one really knows, is that they think that we may have found some sort of alien technology, right? Like a spaceship or something like that. Hey, Twitch chat, let me know in the chat if you think that's real, if we've actually found an alien spaceship, Area 51 style. But what I've always wondered, Leah, is that, all right, if we do have some sort of alien craft, right? That means that they broke down or something, right? Like obviously something went wrong with the spaceship, unless they want us to have like one spaceship. In fact, in the chat, Moki Jr. Man said the alien creators forgot to change the brake fluid, and that's why they couldn't stop. What if it's something like that? What if the aliens are like kind of like us, where they're pretty good at some stuff, but then other times there's always that one person on the ship that just messes everything up, and then before you know it, you're crashed on this strange planet. No one knows anything that's going on. Do you think there might be? Do you think they're like us, Leah? Do you think they mess up, or is that possible?
I mean, like even if they do, like there's probably someone who's gonna reach out and like come to help them,
Right.
right?
They could get the ship back. That's what they wouldn't just let us keep it, right?
Right. Like someone's gotta come and like help, but like no one did. I don't know. I'm not buying this.
What's the point of anthropomorphizing like another race? Like we can't like think about like life on Earth. Like we're close. I mean, I guess we say that like monkeys are close to us, but like cows are really drastically different than humans. Like, what if the aliens are more like cows, but found a way to be intellectual? We don't need to. I think there's an inherent issue in us assuming that they're like humans in any way.
That's a very good point, Chris. Shri, what do you think? Do you think that we'll be able to communicate with them at all, or that we'll have some common ground with these aliens, or are they going to just be so different that we can't even come together?
I think there would be some common ground if, like Chris mentioned, if there was like some humbleness within us,
Right.
because right now we're pretty egocentric and we like to think that, we're the only life form in the Milky Way or something that are capable of all this. But I think once we humble ourselves to think that and open our minds to think that, there's other life forms out there, and like this artist's illustration, what if they are trying to communicate and reach out to us in hopes that we can find some common ground, and it's not just like, oh, they're trying to, blast earth or something. Just like having the humbleness and having that open mindset, I think is very important to like approaching all this.
Going to the Twitch chat, Chris Moki Jr. Man wants to know, is the game Fortnite? Which is
Yeah,
funny. That's
it's
the
not
exact same
Fortnite.
joke I was gonna
On
make.
Fortnite, I could pull. Let me remember off the top of my head. It's like
Stellaris.
a 4X game.
Doom.
Like Civ. It's called.
Stellaris? Is it Stellaris?
Well, I'm gonna look it up. It's not Stellaris.
Because I've been playing Stellaris. While you're looking that up, also in the chat, thoughts underground. What responsibility would a hyper-intelligent intergalactic being have to help us? Do we help the ants?
It's called Endless Space. It's called Endless Space. It's a good.
Endless space.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's like Civ.
Moki Jr. Man, I've seen a Kia Soul before, so I know I've seen some alien tech. That's true. It does look rather alien. Leah, do we help the ants? I want to ask you to respond to that very nice comment chat. I'm telling you, the Twitch chat knows everything. But do you think, would we help the ants? Do they have any responsibility to help us out? I like to think yes, but that's because I like to think everyone should help me.
Well, like maybe not ants, but like other forms of animals. There's definitely people out there that help, like that are really into protecting animals and like helping and like having empathy towards like other forms of living creatures on Earth. And like that's, I mean, I don't think, even if they see us as like, I don't think there's gonna be that much difference of like aliens being that big and like us being so tiny as like an ant. But even if there's a difference, yeah, I would say even like if ants were not as like if some sort of like living creature is trying like is like gonna get extinct. Like I took like biology class, and some biologists like try their best to like help them out, or like trying to make the environment better for them so that they wouldn't get extinct. And like going off from that, I would say like, I mean, human beings, we're not always like good, but there's some goodness in us. I would hope to believe. So that's where I'm trying to come off of.
Hmm. That's a pretty good point. Sheree, I want to ask you before we wrap this topic up. When they had those Australian wildfires, and then you had, the koalas were in trouble, we all got pretty excited about that. We wanted to save the koalas. Do you think there's been some reports that, in the 50s or whenever the atomic bomb was dropped, that some people reported seeing some craft in the sky because maybe they were monitoring us and making sure that we didn't completely screw everything up for ourselves? Do you think, what's your thought on that? Do you think the aliens are looking out for us?
I mean, I think there definitely might be looking at us. I don't know about looking out for us, but there again is like potential of them looking out for us if we were to like advance ourselves. Like Chris mentioned, this TikTok where it's like, oh, you don't, people are still starving. No one has healthcare. Like, we really need to step ourselves up as human beings and just look out for one another. But I do think if aliens do exist, coming in a roundabout, I guess, if aliens do exist and they are looking at us and looking for a way to communicate with us, and their expectations, so that there could be a form of communication in the future and they could be looking out for us like we are for them.
Yeah.
Coding communist says that we aren't as woke as they are. Maybe that's it. Maybe they look at us and they're like, I don't even want to be friends with these people. Look what's going on down there. I don't think so. No, maybe anything's possible.
Hmm.
Jack Cheese instead says the aliens already destroyed themselves, which is possible. They may have already destroyed themselves, and we're like the like Alien 2.0. That could be. Okay, Junior. Do we
Well,
just get rated? Wait, the voice in my head is telling me we just got rated. Hello, Raiders. Welcome to Tech Topical, the best tech talking show. Moki Jr. says the aliens are looking out for me. At least they made sure I got my stimulus check. They are not looking out for me. I still didn't get my check yet.
I have something to say about these
X-File
aliens.
style. What do you have to say, Chris? I always love hearing what you have to say.
If they're watching us, like say for example, they're treating us in the most intelligent way that we humans know how to treat something. Say for example, like how zoologists and other biologists will observe a life form or even like imitate its natural habitat in order to understand it better. Like say for example, like a life documentary, they're watching ants, and how they exist.
Yeah, like an ant farm.
Not trying to create the metaphor that we are ants to them, but just in general, like say they're observing us, it really makes you think like what is their takeaway, because they clearly have this spectator understanding of us that we don't have, this like objective reality that we as humans will never have about humanity because they're just not involving themselves. Say for example, that ship on our screen is just they was just there to survey us. What did they find out? Like what did they learn about us? And it's not even about like what are they doing with it, because I would really hate for this whole alien thing to turn into warfare when it totally couldn't. Because I mean, if it did, let's talk about it. If it did turn into warfare and they have that spaceship, it's not like we're gonna survive. So like let's move past that and try to look at it more like, okay, how are we gonna understand each other and like grow? Because another possibility is that like, what if there are a bunch of like aliens or whatever, and the qualification for like being a part of the Galactic Federation is to be peaceful, because it just shouldn't be about war. In fact, there's probably a way to like maintain like homeostasis as a civilization, and like in order to be a part of like the Galactic Federation, you need to do that. So it's just about them probably figuring out our merit, because we have all these communications with each other, but no communications with anything outside of us. It's frustrating too, because maybe they are communicating with us, but we're just not on that frequency. There's just so much that I'm just assuming that it's our fault that we don't that we don't know this, because you have to be critical about humanity in order to really advance yourself. So yeah, it's like what are we doing that they're not? Especially if that picture is actually a spaceship, why aren't we there yet? Why are we still having these issues and we can't even build a spaceship if that's possible? So
it's very interesting. They said it passed by for like 40 days or something like that. So
yeah,
it came from outside the solar system, comes by for like 40 days, and then off it goes. So I don't know. Those thoughts, maybe it could just be like some space junk, just something from like another civilization that they just, if it's a civilization, they have to create trash. And paparazzi, the paparazzi, they can learn a lot about a celebrity by going through their trash. So maybe we could learn something about the aliens going through their trash. Maybe
absolutely, yeah.
Maybe that's the carbon capture technology that they shot at us. I don't know. I don't think so though, but maybe everything of course is on the table. Man, that's so cool. We got rated. That's the first ever raid we've ever
We
gotten.
got rated twice, actually.
How about that? Even
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
All right. I think there's going to be a lot more to say about aliens, and I'm going to be saying it in Tech Topical. But our next story, there's going to be a lot more to say about aliens, and I'm going to be saying TikTok. I can hear myself. It's better the second time. TikTok. Is it the future of social media? I think it just might be. And I actually have a TikTok that we can show right now. Let's see what this TikTok is all about in case you've never been before. Let me see here. Okay. Hey, voice in my head. Is this looking all right on the Twitch stream?
That's Patrick. Shout out to Patrick. He's clueless.
I don't know if this is loud for you or not. Is that too loud? Here we go. So that was pretty funny. At least I think so.
Very accurate.
Very accurate. So for those of you who are watching who may not be coming from a computer science background, the idea is people think programming is like being this super elite hacker where you can hack people's Facebooks and type in, and really it's copying and pasting zero upvoted answers on Stack Overflow. And I was hoping that that this person would run the code and then it would just like not work, because that's what happens to me when I use Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
Shri, are you on TikTok?
I am actually not on TikTok, but I know most of my friends are.
Most of your friends are?
Mhm.
And you're not?
I choose not to be on TikTok because it's like, for me, it's a distraction, but I love hearing what they have to say about the stuff that they watch.
Oh, it is.
And they keep sending me content, so I'm all caught up on content-wise.
Period.
Oh. Go into the chat, Aldrin puts a fire emoji. By the way, that TikTok was found by Aldrin, our project manager for the show, our newly christened role. So I hadn't actually seen that before. So if you didn't think it was funny, then blame Aldrin. I thought it was funny. Jack Cheese instead said, I gotta go. But shouts out to Chris, the podcast king. Chris, are you about to be on a podcast soon? I think so, right?
Yeah, this is
called?
like 2 podcasts back to back. Budding internet personality. Just kidding. I'd rather not be famous, but I have many things to say. So
hey, whether you like it or not,
I like it or not, just put into the spotlight. It's okay though. Living large as best as I can.
Mookie Jr. man thinks that video was not loud enough. It definitely was.
Oh yeah, shout out to Mookie Jr. man for the subscription.
Yeah, shout out. We just got subbed. That's so incredible right now. We are really rocking and rolling here on Tech Topical. Chris, are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I use TikTok religiously. In fact, it saves me from a lot of things. I don't have I don't post videos, but I have many feelings about Instagram because I think that TikTok is in some ways killing Instagram. This is why I wanted to talk about this, because TikTok shows you things you want to see as opposed to Instagram, which shows you your friends' stuff that you didn't really ask for. I mean, you still love your friends, you know, and they're important to you, but
their content sucks.
Yeah, but their content sucks. Exactly.
Right.
TikTok, their page is curated for you, and man, do I love that. It's like, that was so intuitive. It knows exactly what I want to see, and it keeps showing me that, and I like that. I really do. Like, my internet experience should be personalized. I want that. I don't want to just see random stuff, because the internet is chaotic. Like, literally, like 3 clicks, you could be on this video, and you can be watching some, like, I don't even know, some guy play Fortnite. Like, it's just,
you can go down rabbit holes real fast.
You can go down rabbit holes real fast. So it's good to have your own personalized rabbit hole. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I'm a big TikToker, in case no one knew, at Ready Brian Ross on TikTok. I posted something and got hundreds of likes and lots of views.
Yeah, so fast.
You know how hard it is to get a bunch of views on like Twitter or something, or a bunch of likes on YouTube? It's so hard. Leah, I want to ask you, the problem to me is that TikTok is almost too good. Like, this social media algorithm, you can log on to TikTok, start scrolling, and before you know it, an hour's completely gone by. Do you think TikTok is there any sort of public health consideration here? As lame and boomer as that might sound, do you think that there's some sort of something to say for maybe we shouldn't be on our phones all the time on TikTok, or is it no harm, no foul?
I mean, there's like a certain negative, like there's a negative side of like social medias, whether we like it or not. If we're like always scrolling down and then not doing what we're supposed to do, right? And yeah, personally, I don't have TikTok, but that's just because like all my friends have it, and whenever there's like content just a street, they just send it to me, and that helps me see like context that I want to watch, but at the same time I'm not like scrolling down through a rabbit hole. So like that's a win-win for me. and I really want to keep it that way. And sometimes sometimes I just get off like social media. Like I have other social media like Twitter. I just got on. I had the Twitter account, but like I just started being active on it. I
How
think
do
it's
you feel about Twitter?
uh
How do you feel about
like
Twitter?
feelings on Twitter. Like it depends on who you're following, right? Like if you're following the right people, like the people that match with you, I think you're good. But every other time, there's just like some comments people throw, and you're like, I don't know about this, or like this thing is too toxic for me. So whenever I feel like that, I just like delete the app or just like take a break. I just do that
Relatable, relatable
every other
content.
month. I just cleanse myself from social medias, and then I just get back whenever I feel like okay, now I'm good. I don't want the feeling of like something like some social media controlling me. Like if I'm like reading a book and then I think about like, oh, I just want to scroll to my Instagram, like that's a problem. And like I felt myself doing that last time, and then I was like, okay, I gotta take a break. Then I just like logged off of IG, but like that's how I feel. And but yeah, TikTok is pretty like the like it teaches you a lot, and like people do like this mini videos of I don't know like how to cook or like how to like just some funny videos. Yeah, and also Instagram has like the reels, which is like a competitive to TikTok, I guess. And YouTube also did the like for on
YouTube
their
Shorts.
they
Hmm.
it's sort of like TikTok now. So like
Yeah,
they're
the YouTube Shorts thing.
TikTok, I
Yeah,
guess, like creating some
pretty
similar.
ducking each other.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I don't know how to feel about that, but yeah, I don't want to be like I don't I hate the feeling of like something controlling me, like some
Mhm.
algorithm controlling me. So whenever I feel that, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Take
Yeah.
agency of your own life. Right there with you. Shree, I want to ask you, do you think there's a little bit of a generational divide here?
Mm.
First, let me ask you, are you a Gen Zer or are you a millennial? Are you a boomer, perhaps?
I guess I'd fall in between at the category of Gen Z and a millennial. I was
Right
born in
there on that point.
2002, so
So
I'm right in between the gray area there.
it seems to me like TikTok is more of a Gen Z thing because a lot of my millennial compatriots are not really big on the TikTok.
Hmm. I definitely agree with that. I think it is more of a Gen Z thing because people right now are finding stuff they can relate to, especially with this quarantine and this pandemic going on. I don't think there is that much of a social aspect, and a lot of people have been looking to like TikTok to find that social aspect and people they can relate to versus like going on YouTube now and doing that.
Speaking of YouTube, we have a comment because we're streaming live all over the place. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitch, of course, we're live on Facebook, we're live on
Oh, we're everywhere.
insert name here. And a comment from YouTube, I'm programming a very sophisticated database system the hard way, machine code. I'm 56 years old, have programmed since 1981 and know 9 programming languages. That's a good for you, Justin. I wish I knew 9 programming languages.
Wow.
I read it, Justin, on TikTok.
Oh, he's on TikTok. Oh, I support it. I support the boomers on TikTok. They're teaching me some stuff. But see a
Yeah.
boomer on there and he's like, hey, like, you want to learn some programming? I will follow you. I love being on TikTok because I love getting pieces of information very quickly. Just eat it. Just
Yeah,
understand that.
that's it's a minute. It's great. There's something really interesting. I read an article, Leah. I read this article saying that there's a divide not only between what type of social media we consume, but also between how we communicate. So if you're Gen X, then your preferred method of communication might be a phone call. If you're a millennial, your preferred method of communication is a text message. And if you're Gen Z, 60% of them actually prefer to FaceTime each other, which to me just kind of blew my mind. And my little brother, he FaceTimes me all the time. I'm like, what are you doing FaceTiming me? I don't want to FaceTime you. What is this?
I agree with that statement.
And do you agree with that, straight, Leah?
Mhm.
You think that there's some generational divide there as well?
Um, Sort of. I think that's because like Gen Z like get caught up with new technologies faster. Or like since like first it was just phone call and then now it's FaceTime, and we just got caught up with it really quickly, and then we started using it, and I think we just like got really into it. Maybe that's why. But like personally, whenever like I talk to my family, um like since they're like thousands of miles away, we always FaceTime, and they're like old. So I there's also that. So I think it's kind of both, but mostly the age difference is because like us Gen Zs, we get caught up with like technology faster. Like we got on TikTok, we got like any social media, we just got get on it really quickly, and yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know.
I don't know either. Moki Junior Man says, "I have Justin beat. I know how to do an air dribble on Rocket League."
Oh,
That's
so
pretty good.
cool.
I don't know how to do that. You know how long I've been trying to do an air dribble? Chris, we're coming close to the show, end of the show here. I want to know, do you have any way to wrap up your thoughts here on TikTok and is this the future of social media? Are we going to be going towards things that are 15 seconds and 1 minute? You know, Twitter got a lot of flack because they went down with the character limits, whereas Facebook you could write essays, and then Twitter they take you for 300 characters or whatever it is. And then TikTok, you know, you have YouTube for hour-long videos or 20-minute long videos, and now we're at 1 minute long videos. Is this a trend you see continuing on into the future? What's your prediction? Get out your crystal ball and
Yeah, actually, I don't even need a crystal ball for this. The other day, I was actually thinking about this. There's actually there's four different models for how social media works. There's the disagreement model, which is Twitter, where people are just arguing. And someone's like,
this
"This
is
thing
good.
exists,"
I should write this down.
and someone's like, "No, it doesn't. It does not exist." And someone's like, "Actually, it does exist." And they're like, "Well, then you're wrong." And it's a bunch of like ad hominem like character attacks. It's pretty funny. That's how Twitter works. What else is like that? Reddit in some way. Anything that's like threaded and comment based, like 4chan too, people will attack you, and that's kind of how the app goes. Then there's the agreement model, which is like Slack and Discord, where people agree that something exists and they want to go more into that topic. So they're like, all right, let's gather around this topic and talk about it. Then there is the oh my god, what was the third model? Um, the
You're on
influencer
such a roll
model.
there with those first two. Those are so good.
Yeah, and then there's the influencer model, which is Instagram and TikTok, because what it is that they're just personalities and they have their followings. And Twitter sometimes is in some ways like this, yet more text based, so it's kind of different. Where those people will have their followings, and those followings will like support them for the way they look or what they do or whatever persona they give off, and create a sort of weird like cult following around them, and get them a lot of traction and thus create their influence over the tech space, but either by advertising things or giving their 2 cents on certain things. And that's how TikTok and Instagram goes. The fourth one escaped me. I have it written down, but I'd have to go grab it from my backpack, and I don't feel like doing that. But there's four. I just forgot the fourth one.
Those first three though, they sound pretty good. I couldn't even imagine what the fourth one would be.
Yeah, but TikTok's nice because people aren't really arguing all the time. You
Yeah,
learn a bunch of interesting things. I feel like I've already stressed the point about how you can just learn many different things all at once. Like, and it's more nuanced and more personalized.
yeah.
And it's like it just holds attention better. And another thing that this is probably my main argument, is that Instagram is losing its base because Instagram is now the mall. They replaced the DMs with the shopping feature, and it's like a marketplace. And Facebook is doing that too, trying to create this like e-commerce site in some ways. And it's strange because people aren't using Instagram to sell each other stuff. There's other apps for that. And I think there's this issue when social media companies or tech companies try to become this amalgamous being of a bunch of different things at once, where it just becomes too much. It's like drinking too much water. You just are like, ugh, like if you threw up, it would just be water. Like that's weird. It's a weird feeling. That's what it feels like to be on Instagram. It's just
That's a
drinking too
great
much water.
visual to leave us with. Instagram is like drinking too much water. Our last Twitch comment. By the way, Twitchers and YouTubers, if you have any last comments, go ahead and put them in chat. Mookie Junior Man says, how about 9gag as social media? I think I'm 100% for it. Try it all out. See what sticks.
If you're on 9gag, you shouldn't even be talking to us. You should be talking to the aliens right now, because you're clearly on a different level.
So galactic, big brain.
You have the galaxy brain, literally. You're not even talking to them. You're just meditating on them, and they're meditating right back. That's crazy. No, I
Voice
get
in
it.
my head. Go ahead and play that outro music because unfortunately we are out of time here today on Tech Topical. That was so much fun. I think we got to the bottom of a lot of different things. We figured out that global warming might be solved, or it might not be. Aliens might exist, or they might not. Who knows? And TikTok might be good or it might be bad. That's all an exercise for the viewer to figure out. We
Yeah.
all have our opinions and you have yours. And that's the great thing about Tech Topical is that we can all learn from each other. Thank you so much to my guests, Shri, Chris, and Leah for coming on today. That is this week's episode of Tech Topical. Stay tuned for next week. Of course, always at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at make.sc/Twitch, twitch.tv/make-school. I think it is, if you want to actually type it in. We have a Discord link. If you want to post a link to the Discord for the Make School, you can come hang out. And I'll be in the Discord. Everyone's in the Discord. Justin K says, howdy, fellas. What's up, Justin? Make sure you come by next week, Justin. We'll be hanging out again, as well as you two, Moki Jr., man. And everyone else who was watching, thank you all so much for coming. This was...
Oh, yeah. Justin's cracked at Fortnite. Oh, my God. Moki Jr. Man made a perfect point. Justin, my friend Justin, he's cracked at Fortnite. It's crazy.
There you go. Thank you all so much.
Boomers understand that, but whatever. Anyway, yeah. Thank you.
To Tech Topical.